We could probably sing one or two Christmas carols. Anybody have a favorite you'd like us to sing you haven't heard yet, or you have heard? It came upon a midnight clear. Probably not. Just got to find. It came. Let's see. Is it in here? 128. Way back. All right. We'll try that. Okay. It came upon a midnight clear. Number 128. Okay. Here we go. to sing a couple more, but we'll have a prayer and take up the offering and a volunteer tonight. I just pick on Derek.
Lord, we thank you for this time. Come together and to acknowledge your work, what you've done for us. We thank you for this time that we were able to come together this morning. And I ask that you would help us to listen, understand, and have for us this afternoon. In Christ's name we pray.
Amen. Okay. I won't whistle a Christmas carol while we're taking it up or anything like that. Okay. Okay. Or sing along. If Linda was here, she could. How about another? You guys have another one or two we could sing tonight? And if you have any questions about Christmas, like I'm going to turn it over to Luke. And no. Okay. Go Tell It on the Mountain, which is 138. Go Tell It on the Mountain. Okay, so we sing that first refrain first, and then go into it, and then that right how we do it, Judy? Yep. Make sure I do this right. Okay. Okay, some more. 152. I heard the bells on Christmas Day. Do you remember? I just heard some more of the background of this, but I believe that Longfellow first, the discouraging news that came back was, I guess, time of the Civil War. I heard this week, and then his son came back wounded, right? And it wasn't only that. Then while he was involved, then what else happened? I'm seeing heads shaking. What else? Other tragedy happened in his home. His wife, yeah. What happened though? Why did she die? How did she? Yeah, she just no. Back then, of course, they did. They're cooking over flame and so forth. Her dress caught on fire and she died. So again, that's the background context of then this song. Okay, yeah, right. Judy, some more.
Yes, his man's name is Tennyson, and he is a famous American poet.
What about this is Longfellow here? But
Well, oh yeah, was studying him in the 11th grade American literature class in the public school, and they never said anything about his religious philosophy.
At all.
And I was singing this song in church one Christmas time, at that time, and I realized this is the poet we're studying right now. And they never said anything about him being a Christian.
Yeah.
And it
Well,
opened my eyes to what the public school was doing.
yeah, at that time, that's right. There just was not. Yeah, Luke.
There's a movie all about this guy and the creation of the song. It's pretty good.
Christian.
The movie is it's the same as the name of the song.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, Sight and Sound. Made a movie.
Oh, Sights and Sounds made a movie. Okay. Oh, they did. Okay. Okay. Didn't know that. Okay. All right. Let's try to sing it now. Okay. Another one or two? Yeah, it was good choir here tonight. Yeah. Anything else? No way.
Just give us a second.
Give you a second. Okay. Time's up.
162.
162, the birthday of a king. Let's see. You know how to start that, Judy? You gotta get that tune before I start into it.
In the little
So,
village of Bethlehem, there lay a child one day, and the sun. Oh, I can't. Never mind. We're not singing that one. Les Lucky goes up and plays the melody line.
yeah, that's a little tough. 166, We Three Kings? Okay, okay. We Three Kings, 166.
Star of night, star with glory.
Okay, tell me all the true things about the song and the wrong things about the song, or things we may not know about what's in the song, or what's good about the song, etc., etc.
We don't know if there were three people.
Yeah, we don't know if there was three kings. They probably weren't kings either.
Right.
Okay,
They didn't show up on Christmas night.
they didn't show up on Christmas night, right? The birth night. No, they didn't. Yes, Miles.
It puts a lot more focus on the star than on Jesus.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, Luke.
Where does it say that they arrived on Christmas Day? See in the
I don't know if it says it on this in this particular one. That's normally. So where do we get the idea? Where does it usually show up that we think or people think that? Why do people think that? The manger scene itself, right?
There are three gifts listed.
Behind me. Got moved back. Yeah, back there, right?
There are three gifts listed.
There are three gifts listed, right?
So they say maybe three people.
Yeah. Do we know where they came from?
The east.
They came from the east. That's right. Yeah, Luke.
You guys speak to a lot of people that have no idea what Orient is. No idea what Orient is.
Well, it's the Oriental or Eastern, is what their idea of that is. The Nabateans is a real good possibility now, or the Persians. You got basically that area over there. That's they likely the guesses that are made. Again, they're called magi. Again, it's the derivatives of that is more like magician, but they're a little more. They were into the arts and different things. Some people think maybe even somehow through Babylon and through Daniel that information was given to the wise men and so on. Somehow that carried down. There's various theories. Anybody else have any input there on that? But the one thing that always hits me every time I deal with them and going, remember what it is? The idea that who is excited about Jesus' birth and who is really looking for Jesus? Is it the Jews, in a sense, the religious leading Jews, or, think about that here. I mean, God is sending Gentiles, right? And bringing gifts of worship because the leadership of Israel is not, which is, it shows you where the leadership of Israel was at the time spiritually.
The
Okay.
Jews were almost too familiar with the story. It was same. That's what they grew up with.
Yeah, they were familiar, but
They didn't really expect it.
yeah. Yeah, well, there was a lot of expectation in that day, but again, what do we always find out? We do know from Scripture that there were people that were Jewish who were looking for,
They were awesome.
but they're always the remnant again, right? The remnant. They're a remnant, right? Because how do we know that? When Jesus is born and he's brought to the temple, what do we find out right away? Yeah, you're right, Anna. Simeon, right? Yeah, they're always that. There are some, but the overall tenor of Israel, where they were spiritually, it was really bad. You think you would get a little bit excited about the fact if you got this group coming like that looking for your king? Yeah, look.
But it's true that this showed God's providence more than it focused on Jesus. Because clearly the purpose of the three wise men was to get them to flee to Egypt. I mean, that's God's purpose. He caused this whole sequence of events so that the scripture would be fulfilled.
Right,
That he would go to
right.
Egypt.
That's another
So
track of it.
It's God's providence.
Right, in that sense, yeah, that he got him to go to Egypt, so you call him out of Egypt to fulfill a prophecy that would take place, right? But why how else did they precipitate that even happening? Besides the fact that, I mean, how did that precipitate it?
Well, he used Herod also.
Right,
His jealousy.
right, yeah. Herod didn't want anything to do with any threats, and there's an awful lot about Herod that we could go into, but he took care of any threats. He took care of relatives and others and so on, or any kind of threat. And when we sing these songs tonight, like even Longfellow's song there tonight, you realize that we think we're living in tough times, but there's always tough times on earth, okay? Whether it was like with Longfellow, like whether it was the Civil War, the hatred and everything, the North and the South and all that was going on there, or the tragedies personally of his wife, right? And her son being injured in war, it's the same today. It doesn't really change, it's the same, and turning to the focus of why, still that your trust is in that God's going to take care of the problem, right? In that sense. Okay. All right. Let's close. I guess we can stop singing tonight. I wasn't even going to sing tonight, but I thought, Christmas carols, why not? And I knew you were all practiced because we went to 2 different homes to sing, so I knew you guys would know a few. And anyway, let's go to Exodus 23. Exodus 23. Yeah. Again, some of this, we understand most of it. Remember, God set up a system whereby even basically at first Moses was wearing himself out, and his father-in-law, Jethro, had to tell him, you need to divide up your work when it comes to making judgments for the people. And then, but the other judges besides Moses are going to have to know how and what kind of principles or what kind of laws are we going to use to give these kind of decisions and judgments. And so this is being laid out here. You got, of course, your civil and moral laws and so forth all being laid out here. So we pick it up here in chapter 23, verse 1. So you shall not, and this is going to right away speak about, again, we would say justice in the sense of the right kind of justice being brought about. You shall not spread a false report. You shall not join hands with a wicked man to be a malicious witness. You shall not fall in with the many to do evil, nor shall you bear witness in a lawsuit, siding with the many so as to pervert justice. Okay, and nor shall you be partial to a poor man in his lawsuit. So these first verses here are dealing with justice situations. And again, we need to be very concerned about justice. And just consider what we know in our day. There's always been a problem with wicked men manipulating things to either to get what they want through a verdict. We talk about lawfare today. We talk about those kind of things. All things that go against what God wanted to be when it came down to justice being. We have in America, as it started on our founding nation, remember we have how do we have the picture of fair justice? What's the symbol of that we have? The balance with a blind, right? Right. What's that conveying? Right? You're not to be, it's almost like you're not to look at the person per se, you're to look at the evidence, right? And make your justice not, and so like even in verse 3 it said, nor shall you be partial to a poor man in his lawsuit, okay? So there's no, quote, victim in a sense of, just because they're poor, they're more of a victim, or they're, the rich or not, they're the victim, not to think in those terms. Whatever the situation is, you need to bring the right kind of justice. And especially then, this thing that God hates is false witnesses, those who conspire. I had just listened to an interview with a lady who had been from Russia. I think she was, I don't know, but she's in England. She's teaching at, I was telling Paul about this morning. She was at Cambridge teaching there, 1930s Russian history. But they took her, and General Flynn was coming there. This was in like 2014. He was going to address people there. Unbeknownst to her, that some of the professors at Cambridge were also working for one with, for the British Intelligence Service and different things. And she goes this whole thing. At the meal, her husband's with her, but then they go into the meeting, so her husband goes out to wait until she's done, and Flynn gives his presentation, and so all this is set up. And so 2 years later, all of a sudden, you have this big controversy that somehow this lady was, had a relationship with Flynn, and there was this Russian connection. And it was almost, she wasn't even with Flynn alone. It was an impossible situation, but they ruined her life. They ruined Flynn's life. But just to show you the height of conspiracies and stuff that can be done, and our intelligence agencies and what they're doing, and we know about this kind of corruption. And now it comes out, now we know about these things, okay? That was all being done at that time. And they ruin people's lives. God hates this kind of thing. God hates this kind of stuff, okay? He hates it. In fact, remember let's see, what passage can we go to in Proverbs where it talks about how much God hates these things again? Let's go to Proverbs 6 again. Proverbs 6. Proverbs 6, 16 through 19, especially verse 17. Would someone like to read then again Proverbs 6, 16 through 19, and we'll see what God thinks about these and other things. Yeah, Mike?
There are 6 things that the Lord hates, 7 that are an abomination to him. Haughty eyes, lying tongue, and hands that shed innocent blood. A heart that devises wicked plans, feet that are swift to run to evil. A false witness who breathes out lies, one who sows discord among brothers.
Yeah, no, just, are those things related? You start looking at all these things. Just think about just one case I pulled out and told you about. We're talking about conspiracies, okay? A conspiracy doesn't mean it's false. It just means it's a conspiracy, okay? But just think about just what I told you. Arrogant people, after their purposes, lying. They devise their wicked plans. They're quick to do those kind of things. That's their heart, to run and do those kind of things. They breathe out lies. They end up sowing discord, mistrust, and everything among peoples because of what they're doing. And God hates it. God hates it. Paul.
I know that haughty eyes are a good thing, but that almost seems like an outlier, and it almost doesn't fit the rest. Haughty eyes.
Yeah, well, again, it probably shows what kind of a heart, though. Haughty eyes is revealing they have a haughty, arrogant kind of a heart that's
So it reflects the heart.
yeah, I would think would reflect the heart.
That's what it is.
Yeah. But these things are all related to the corrupt human nature that's in people. And there's so much of this, okay? And so God hates it. God hates it. And Israel as a nation, he didn't want this. He wanted them to have justice. The truth could be upheld, okay? So that we aren't always having to be skeptical about what we have to. We've talked about this. With AI, another example I'll give you this week. I was so moved because someone posted a man giving his testimony, a lifelong atheist who at the end of his life had turned to Christ got baptized, proclaim. It was like a half-hour presentation. What a wonderful thing. He went back into why he became an atheist. He went back to things like, well, how stern his father was and going to church at first, and then he went to, then his young sister died, and he pleaded with God, and still he lost his daughter, and all this. And you know, because it's so real to us as believers that we know how God can transform the heart, and how we would love to see that, and we have loved ones that we would love to see, even those who oppose God, that finally maybe towards their end of their life they would really come to Christ and believe. Incredible thing. But there was things about it, though, that was almost too smooth and too doctrinally sound, if you want to say, or the right words every place throughout it. Almost too clear. And so I got done, I started investigating and found out it was AI. So Christians using AI to try to get people to respond, but using a deceptive thing. So I would begin to wonder, was it Christians who did this? This is other people doing this or whatever. But it was AI. It just pulled you in. And I said, if this is true, it would have been one of the most fantastic kind of testimonies to present to you and say, isn't this something, what God did? And God does that. I saw my grandfather come to the Lord on his deathbed. I know what God can do, this kind of thing. But so to see that, and then to realize it was all fake. All fake. And so you understand how important this is going to be. Lies, deception, truth today when it comes to things. We're going to have to really be careful, okay? Really be careful. And so, yeah. So that's the first thing here. God is a God who wants truth, justice upheld, what's good upheld, and he hates any kind of deception. And we always say this, Satan is the liar. Satan is the deceiver, right? He is that, okay? Now, again, part of this here, again, 4 and 5 then. Let's go on in 23, 4 and 5. If you meet your enemy's ox or his donkey going astray, you shall bring it back to him. If you see the donkey of one who hates you lying down under its burden, you shall refrain from leaving him with it. You shall rescue it with him. So, how are you to relate then to an enemy? If you see something of theirs that's in trouble, you finish it off. No. You're supposed to, even for your enemy, you're supposed to take care of the situation and do good even. Now think about what New Testament principles speak to that. What verses, what principles, what, even to us as believers today when it comes to an enemy. How does the New Testament say we're going to respond to even to enemies when it comes to something of theirs? Not when they're necessarily attacking us so much and coming at us. And, you know, there's ways where I think if they're really, we have to defend ourselves in some way, in the right way. But still, they're supposed to be what? What kind of principles do we get in the New Testament?
The most obvious one is the Good Samaritan.
Okay, the Good Samaritan, which, well, yeah, I mean,
Because they were enemies.
yeah, I mean,
So actually he was taking care of his enemy.
yeah, in the sense that, yeah, there was this real prejudice between the peoples, the Samaritans, which shocked the Jewish people for showing a Samaritan that did something good. Well, what straight out verses talk about your enemy in the New Testament?
Love your enemies, bless those who curse you,
Yeah,
pray for those who despitefully
pray for them. Yeah, bless those who curse you. Love your enemy. Overcome evil with good, right? A lot of things like that, right? We must not fall to their level. Okay? And in this case for them, they were to make sure they took care, even of an animal of theirs that's in danger, your enemy's property, okay? And then 23, we continue. You shall not pervert the justice due to your poor in his lawsuits. Keep far from a false charge and do not kill the innocent and righteous, for I will not acquit the wicked. Okay, here, come back to that again. Okay, in this case, the poor, because they could be taken advantage of. So you got two ways here. The poor doesn't mean they should get special favor, but on the other hand, if people are taking advantage of them, then they need to be, stand up for the poor. They're not to be taken advantage of either, but because of their position. And people who do that, God says, I will not miss it. Okay? How many are thankful that when it comes right down to it, as much as we want justice in this world, we know that someday God is going to bring justice to everything. And he's going to turn everything around, and as we sang tonight, God will cause the wrong to fail and the right really to prevail in eternity at least. Even if it doesn't all turn here, it will turn then. Okay? It will turn then. So, it goes on, verse 7, keep far from the false charge and do not kill the innocent and righteous, for I will not acquit the wicked. And you shall take no bribe, for a bribe blinds the clear-sighted and subverts the cause of those who are in the right. Again, justice against bribery, using money, okay, to get what you want again, okay, to pervert justice. You shall not oppress a sojourner. You know the heart of a sojourner, for you were sojourners in the land of Egypt. Again, not to oppress them. Okay, take advantage of that or do that. Okay. All right. Verse 10, for 6 years you shall sow your land and gather in its yield. But on the 7th you shall let it rest and lie fallow, that the poor of your people may eat, and what they leave the beasts of the field may eat. You shall do likewise with your vineyard and with your olive orchard. So there's this concept again of even 7, the Sabbath kind of concept for even the crops. Okay. Good probably for the land, and probably also then a way in which to take care of the poor. Now, a couple ways to go at this. Just think about this. A whole nation not harvesting for a whole year. So how do we explain this? Is it that not every crop? Or did they sort of space them out? Or what else could happen? Yeah, a couple of possibilities. Derek, do you have an idea maybe?
Depending on when they started the field, you would have different fields being fallow at different years.
Yeah, that's one of the real clear possibilities that this could have been. It wouldn't necessarily have been that every crop was all started or whatever the same time, that they spaced them out. That's possible. If it wasn't that way, is there anything else in the Bible that would tell us how God would take care of it?
Joseph's solution.
Joseph's solution? Okay. Yes. Okay. Yeah. And what other thing happens earlier than that, like manna? What about manna? What about the Sabbath when it came to manna? What were they to do with that one? Yeah, they would get double on Friday, right? So they would have enough on Saturday for them, right? Okay.
So that says is the Lord, if you're loyal to the Lord, he'll be loyal back and make sure you have a ton of the crop the year before you have it.
Yeah. So again, you could go. I looked at different commentaries and so forth, and scholars are basically the two views. You either take it that God would either have to do it the one way, provide for them for that, give them abundance, or else there was a way of rotating. Okay, for our natural minds, we would think that way, but it's very possible God just took care of that. Okay. He says, you shall likewise do your vineyard, verse 12, 6 years you shall do your work, but on the 7th day you shall rest, and your ox and your donkey may have rest, and the sons of the servant woman and the alien may be refreshed. So every 7th day. Again, that idea of the principle of resting, yeah.
In Charlie Kirk's new book, on the Sabbath, he talks about the rhythm of work for 6 days and a seventh day of rest, and how it works everywhere, or it works for us during the week. And it would apply also to the land itself, to work for 6 years and to rest for the seventh year.
Yeah,
In either way, like Derek was talking about it, or Joseph's solution.
yeah,
It's just a natural, what he built in is a natural rhythm of work and rest. It's the best for us, best for everything.
yeah, yeah. And I know biblically, I don't necessarily believe we have to follow a seventh day like they did in Israel per se, but the principle, Paul, I think is really there, and that needs to take place in our lives. If we don't have a break and we stay on this pattern of, and we don't take breaks like that, it will get to us. Yeah,
If I could go on with that.
sure.
Use a couple of examples. The communists hated everything about Christianity, and they tried to twice. They tried to change the work week, or the whole week, into a 10-day week first, and it completely just fell into chaos.
You're right.
People got so tired, so weary.
Sure.
They could not.
No break,
They
yeah, no.
just
Yeah.
collapsed.
Yeah.
They tried to change it to a 5-day week, and that didn't work either.
Oh,
It's the 7, it's the
Okay.
6 and 1,
Yeah.
6 and 1.
yeah.
So it's something about that, that's just right.
Right. The French, I think, tried it too. I
The
think.
French tried it too,
Right.
after the revolution.
Yeah. Right. So yeah, definitely. Yeah. Okay. Verse 13. Pay attention to all that I have said to you, and make no mention of the names of other gods, nor let it be heard on your lips. I got trying to think about how you could apply this practically in our sense. I know why God didn't want them speaking or even being drawn into, they were to avoid, like almost like aggressively avoid, don't even talk about the other gods. Now we know this, when they get in the land, they're gonna cave to idolatry around them. But I was thinking about even personally when it comes to our own idols or things that we sometimes desire that we shouldn't have. The best way for us to avoid falling to those idols is not to be thinking about them, not to be imbibing things that would encourage you towards those things. Yeah, that's the idea, I think. Okay, well, he didn't want those things being encouraged at that time. Verse 14: 3 times in the year you shall keep a feast to me. You shall keep the feast of unleavened bread, as I commanded you. You shall eat unleavened bread for 7 days at the appointed time in the month of Abib, for in it you came out of Egypt. None shall appear before me empty-handed. You shall keep the feast of harvest, of the firstfruits of your labor, of what you sow in the field. So first you have this, that first one, a reminder of Egypt, the Passover time, but the feast of, they call it the Feast of Unleavened Bread. Another time when and this is for all men, and all men were to come to a central place for that one. They were to also come to a central place for the Feast of the Firstfruits there, the Feast of Harvest. And then there was this Feast of Ingathering, 3 times a year, that the men were to leave, come to a place together, which would have brought great national unity, right? That would have definitely taken place by doing this. Again, coming to be grateful before God. That definitely was part of it. And verse 17 is where it says, 3 times a year you shall, all your males appear before the Lord God. Now, just think about that. Now, in a practical sense, again, we thought earlier, talk about your crops. What would you think about your neighbors and your enemies if every man left their property and all went to one place in the land? They would have to trust the Lord, right, to take care of things while they're away, everybody's gone, right? That would have to be a real big part of that. Trying to think, find a verse here. Yeah, look at chapter 34, verses 23 and 24. 34, 23, and 24. Would someone like to read this then? This is chapter 34, verses 23 and 24. It talks about this here. Exodus 34, 23, and 24. Okay, Kate?
3 times in the year shall all your males appear before the Lord God, the God of Israel. For I will cast out nations before you and enlarge your borders. No one shall covet your land. When you go up to appear before the Lord your God 3 times in a year.
So what's it tell us there about the Lord? He's going to make sure he's going to protect it. Can you have any better protection than that? No. Yeah. So, yeah, I mean, there'd be a practical concern. All the men just leave the property and they all come to one place and everything is left open. But God promised them, I will be there to make sure no one covets your land while you're gone. So just let you see that as well. Again, God taking care in these situations, okay? The greatest thing that's needed in our homes and our nation and every place is and it's something that we know, but it's something we just really have to take a hold of. Is the fact that our trust has to be in God, not only in our salvation, but in our sanctification and in every other area of our life. It's got to be our trust in God. And I think that's why the circumstances that come to us are often trying to drive us to that, to say, we've always got to be looking to God, realize what God can do in every situation. And if he tells us to do something, he wants us to obey. He's telling us he's going to provide for us while we obey. He'll take care of the rest if we obey. He really will. He'll help us to accomplish what he wants us to do. And any dangers, he's the one who will use that or take care of that. Okay. Let's see, I should go just a little bit further here. Let's just go a couple more verses. 23:18, you shall not offer the blood of my sacrifice with anything leavened. And the only thing I can think about that is leaven is often associated with the sin and the pitcher and so forth. And this last one, or let the fat of my feast remain until the morning. You need to do that. The best of the first fruits of your ground you shall bring into the house of the Lord, your God. Okay, so he requires these things. He says, I want the best from you, right, for your offerings. The first fruits. And what's the last one in verse 19? Yeah, there you go. Now, see that Jeanette answered, she gets to tell me why. The scholars don't know for sure either. They know there was a first thing that they found, a writing in a pagan religious worship, that they were not to boil in any milk, any animal's milk. It doesn't specify mother's milk, so that's as close as they can get to that. They didn't want them doing. God didn't want them doing the same thing as the religious practices around them. The other one is just the fact that milk is what? It's like the life-giving sustenance of, and so just in a sense, again, that whole picture, like when God says, I want you to drain the blood out, life is in the blood. It might be just something connected with that. Just the two different things that just go together. Okay? Because this is stated, I think, 3 times in the Old Testament, which is interesting. It's stated 3 times, and we're still not exactly sure exactly why, but it's stated 3 times. So at least don't do it, because even God said don't do it, don't do it. Even if we don't know exactly why God told us not to do it. Okay? All right, let's stop there. Any questions on any of this tonight? And Judy, I don't see Judy over there, so. Okay. I can talk to her. She might have something good. I don't know. What was your question, Judy?
So I'm thinking about modern Israel and the Yom Kippur,
Yom Kippur?
Yom Kippur War.
And what are you thinking?
I'm just wondering,
How God took care of them?
if they're to have a special,
You mean while the enemies were attacking while
tactic.
at a time when there was a war, right?
But I don't know if the Yom Kippur War is one of those three that are in,
Yom Kippur, is that have to do with the Passover? Yom Kippur, Kippur, Yom Kippur. Yom is day, Kippur, I'm not sure either. But they won.
the Israelites won.
Yeah, they did, definitely. Yeah, in a miraculous way, they did. It just seemed like it was impossible odds, and they won that war. 67, was it? Remember that, Derek? 67? No? Yom Kippur.
It wasn't the same situation.
Not exactly, probably.
Something like here is going to the temple. Everybody going to the temple.
Yeah, right. But it was a special day. Yeah. Anyway.
It's the Day of Atonement, celebrated as the holiest day in Judaism.
Yeah. Must have been the Passover time then.
Marks the end of the 10 days of awe that begin with Rosh Hashanah.
Yeah. There's a lot of questions today about the way we should view Israel. And you know how clear I am about. I still believe there's great promises for Israel. And just, that doesn't mean that everything that Israel does is right. They're a secular nation. Okay. But I still believe that we want to pray for the peace and for God to bring us purposes about. Yeah. Because we know that God's going to have to really bring pressure on Israel eventually to bring them to their knees before him. And that will take place, yeah. Okay. Everybody got great plans for Christmas? Yeah, okay. Hey, Tom? Would you like to stand up and pray tonight? Okay.
Dear Lord, we thank you for this time that we spend and delve into your word and learn about what you want for us to do. We thank you for Pastor, for leading us. And we thank you for the season, dear Lord, that we can always remember that you sent your son in this world and what he did for us. We ask us to be with us through this Christmas season, keep us safe in our journey. All these things we pray in your name alone. Amen.
Amen.